are from Poland, which I think is so cool. But what was your exposure to country music like over in Poland?
Actually, my dad is a producer of a big country music festival here in Poland, and it's actually a huge festival happening since, oh, it's been happening for 44 years, I think. And so growing up, I was just there as a kid, listening to the music and enjoying all that. But the crazy part was that it was only that once a year that this was happening, and then for the rest of the year I was fed everything that was put on the radio, and so pop music basically. So I had these two worlds of already being this girl who's dreaming of singing and being on stage and listening to all sorts of pop music, but then I was going to the country festival and I was like, I love this, this is great. And I was dreaming of visiting the States and visiting Nashville and visiting, all the places that are so, important to country. But it wasn't until I was, I think, 16 or 17 when I first, visited the States. And then I realized how huge the genre actually is. And I just really starting to dig into it back then. And then I moved to college to Miami, Florida, and that's what I just decided that I'm a country girl, and I should stop lying to myself. That's just the genre that I want to go for. And I love all sorts of other music, but this is what I want to do.
I love that. So, is anybody else in your family musical, or how did you get the music bug? Obviously, your dad is involved with the festival, but kind of
Yeah, he's also a
explain.
musician. He's also a
Okay.
musician. Yeah, he's a pianist, but he hasn't been active. So he then just remained in the industry, but more as a producer and just a TV guy than the musician. So it really was just kind of my thing. I just started singing, and I thought, hey, this is nice. I kind of want to do more of that.
I love it. So, when you first came to the States for school, what struck you the most about American country music versus maybe what you were hearing back home in Poland?
Um, I think that a lot of music, I think that the music that was getting the country music that was getting to Poland was the sort of more standard pure country in that sense. And then when I moved to the States, it was the coolest thing to me was that my friends were listening to country at parties, and that it was just such a wide genre, that it was also there, you could find a lot of pop music in it, but then you could find a lot of rock music in it. That was a time where Taylor Swift was becoming big as well, and she was still very much a country artist. And I thought, wow, this is so amazing, because I thought that country was way more limited than it actually is, especially, well, now it's completely blowing off, and it's wonderful. But already this, compared to what I was thinking of in Poland, was huge for me, which made it even more exciting, because I do listen to a lot of other genres. So I was like, I don't know if, how pure country can I be. I actually really want to go rock and roll with my music, as the new single really is right now. But I also just love the pop sounds, and I write very poppy melodies, so I really just felt safer when I found out how much you can actually do with country over here.
I love it. So, I thought the most interesting thing I read in your bio was that you have a degree in economics and have lived what seems like a million lives doing a bunch of different things. So, what was it ultimately that really pulled you to kind of move forward in the musician direction?
Um, yeah, I had a decade of a break, really. So, and I was doing a corporate life, and I was getting closer to turning 30 3 years ago. And I think that was also around the time of the pandemic. And I think a lot of people were experiencing a bit of a, a change in their lifestyle, and we all had to slow down. Obviously, the whole world did. And that's when I just started really kind of introspecting and thinking, okay, I'm not really the happiest person where I am. I know I've achieved a lot in the corporate world, and I liked it, and I had a chance to meet a lot of great people and visit the whole world and fly around. But really, I just started looking back into my childhood and thinking, well, really what I always wanted to do was singing. And why the hell did I, give up on this, and I think that was the big breakthrough. That was it. And that's when I actually decided to accept the big festival in Poland was actually having its 40th anniversary. And I thought, how about I give it a shot and I go and I perform and I see how after all these years, because I did perform there as a teen. I was 17, I think, and 18. I think for 2 years as a teenager, I gave it a shot. But I wasn't writing my songs at the time. I wasn't really, self-confident enough. And that's why I gave it up. I went to study economics and the rest happened. But now I thought I'm just gonna go and see. And I had obviously the liberty that because my dad was a producer that I could go and try. And I was super stressed, but I was like, okay, let me just, it's just a test run. And I walked out on that stage and I thought, what was I even thinking? This is where I should be. This is what I love doing. And that was it. I was lost. I knew that I was super happy, but also just completely stressed out of how much work now I have to do and how the hell do I even start? And yeah, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm here right now, and it's been a great 3 years for me. Super full of hard work, but amazing.
I love that. When did your love of songwriting come? You keep mentioning that you've always loved to sing and, be on stage, but when did that songwriting aspect really start to kick in as well?
So that was right after that. So I went out, so I did that performance 3 years, well, 4 years ago already. And that's when I was like, okay, test number one was how do I feel back on stage? Test number two is I feel like I have some stories to tell. And I've never written before, but I don't know if I can't do that because I've never even tried. So how about I just start writing down the stories that I have in my head and seeing, how this can work out. And so I just started writing. And I wrote my first song ever that I wrote was Her. It's a single that I released, I think it was January or this year actually. And it tells the whole story of exactly that, her, I choose her, meaning the little girl that always wanted to sing. And I chose her after all these years. It's her dreams that I decided to pursue. So that's the first song I ever wrote. And then I started working with some songwriters and I started getting, songs from them and I started writing my lyrics and then I started writing melodies as well. And I thought, wow, this is great. And it just gives it a whole new, angle to it because I knew that if you want to be in country, you kind of have to sing and you got to have to be a songwriter. And it was beautiful and I was so grateful that I found it in me and that I love co-writing with others too, but I also love that every song that I put out is actually a story of mine. It's all very personal. It's always about me, which sounds bad, but it really is. It's just pure truth of what I've experienced, and I have a lot more coming.
Great. Yeah. I mean, the best place to pull inspiration from is yourself. So, but I want
Yeah,
to talk
yeah.
to
And
you
because
about,
I wasn't doing it for so many years, I really have a lot to catch up with those stories. So it just
yeah,
comes, yeah,
I
it's,
love it. But I want to talk to you about your new single. It is rocking. So I kind of
okay.
want to know the story behind that, the creative process, everything about the music video. Just lay it on me.
So yeah, so that was, You Can Touch Me, that's the song. I have an agent, Larry in Nashville who I met last year when I went to Chicago. I was invited to Chicago to play a Polish festival. And then I decided since I'm already in Chicago, I might as well visit Nashville. And that's where I met my current agent. And we decided to talk and he said he pulled out my single, This Is My Time. And he thought, oh, you know what, let's run with it. I think it's a pretty cool song that I could, use to check out, your potential in the market. And he did. And so This Is My Time got to, I think, number 94 top airplay singles at one point in across the states. So I was mind blown because I didn't expect that at all. And that's when I was like, okay, this is getting serious. And that's how the whole US market started to open up for me. And the reason I say all this is because I then said to Larry, listen, we need new music ASAP. And I'd like to work with people in Nashville and co-write over there. And then Larry introduced me to Noah Henson, who is the producer and my co-write on the song and a couple of other songs that are coming up. And so I met Noah through a Zoom, I think in May this year. And we chatted briefly about inspirations and what I want to do with with my sound and what I'm looking for. And I already loved him from the start. And also I knew he's a rocky guy. I mean, he's a country guy, but he is very much involved with rock acts too. And even when you see him, you're just like, okay, he can rock. And that's what I needed because I love a more a more rocky sound. And I had a period of stagnation in my life before that for a couple of months, and I thought I needed a bold song. I needed a bold move. And I knew that the song will be titled You Can Touch Me. I already knew the title. I already knew some of the lyrics I had written down. And then we ended up finishing them together over in Nashville. So I flew over and I met him in his home studio, and we had 3 days of working together, and we were writing in the morning, and then he was putting together the tracks, and then I was tracking my vocals in the evening. And we did that for 3 consecutive days, and we ended up with three consecutive amazing songs, out of which You Can Touch Me was the first one. And that one is the most rocky, I'm not gonna lie. This is very much, I even thought maybe we overdid it a little. I was like, well, I'm a country act, and are we sure this is going to be okay and everything? And he was like, well, yeah, you can take country, to all sorts of places these days, and you're authentic in it, and it sounds great, and let's do it. And I spoke to my agent, and when we had the 3 songs ready, I said, which one do you think, we should start with? And he was like, well, which one do you think? And I was like, funny enough, I think this one should be the one. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. I love it. So it is great because I needed someone like Noah to kind of give me the courage to do a song like that. That's a stronger song. And he really pushed me vocally as well. And I love that my voice is so strong in there. And I love the sass in the song and the attitude and everything about it. So yeah, so I was super happy with it. And then the video was another part of the project where I was like, okay, the song, when you just listen to it, to the music, is a pretty, rocky, kind of confident rock chick song. But then what I really wanted to come across from the song is that there is also that side of me that just wants to be touched and is the subtle and feminine side, and that, people can think of me as, this crazy rock and roll girl, but I want them to see me from that other angle as well. So that's why the video has kind of both me's in it. I'm there, with some subtle scenes in my apartment just to make it even more personal. That's exactly where I am right now. And then that's mixed with all the bar scenes and the car scenes, and this whole love story comes together as in, like, you can be, a rock couple, but there's still, the sensuality in it and the pure love that I wanted to come across. So yeah.
I love it. So what else can we expect from you? What's next for you?
I'm definitely going to issue one more song this year. I think end of November will be the next single. It's still a surprise, so I can't really say much. And then we have those songs that we did, and I'll be coming to Nashville, I think early next year, hopefully finishing up an album or at least an EP that I want to release. And we're planning on some tours as well. I'm planning to come in and play, I think around March next year. So I think, I'll be a lot more present in the States next year. And yeah, I'm hoping to finish an album. And first, I'm really hoping to perform and play a lot. I mean, this year was all about creating, making new connections, writing new stuff, and kind of reinventing myself and getting ready for, the US market. And now it's really about going there and being with, because I love to be on stage. My biggest thing is to be with people, with my audience, and I just love it and I miss it, and I can't wait to do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time.
you.
I know the time
Thank you
difference is
for having
all
me.
bonkers. But yeah, we will put this together and then we'll be in touch with you and with Madison once everything is live.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Awesome. It was so great meeting you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
You're